welcome back to my channel. So I used a bunch of items from the Dollar Tree to create 4 super easy winter decor DIYs for today's video. These projects are perfect if you don't celebrate Christmas but still want to decorate for winter and the holidays. So make sure you stay tuned for the rest of the video and give it a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more DIY and home decor projects. And let's go ahead and get started. For the first project, I created a neutral winter wreath using a green floral foam ring and some jute ribbon that I got from the dollar store. I started by painting the foam ring with some white acrylic paint. I made sure to cover the entire piece and let it completely dry. I chose to go with white because I didn't want any of that green foam color showing through in the end. Once the paint was dry, I started wrapping the jute ribbon around the foam piece. I used a small dab of hot glue to secure the starting point to the foam ring. I continued to wrap the ribbon around the foam, going in diagonal motion to make sure there are no creases in the ribbon. I used hot glue in a few spots to secure the ribbon in place, but there is no need to use a lot of glue for this project. In fact, less is more and it will have the cleanest end result. Once the whole ring was covered, I cut the excess ribbon and secured the end in place with some more hot glue. In the next step, I used 3 branches of dried wheat and a couple of pine cones that I've had in my craft stash to create an arrangement on the wreath. You can get similar items from the dollar store or your local craft store if you don't have any on hand. Anyways, I played with the placement of all these elements until I was happy with how they looked. I then secured each piece in place with some hot glue. I chose to go with dried wheat, pine cones, and the jute ribbon to keep this wreath pretty neutral, but make sure to customize it to your taste and color palette. In the last step, I added a small piece of jute rope on the back so I can hang this wreath. That finished off this first Dollar Tree winter decor DIY, and I'm really happy with how it came out. I love the neutral minimal look of this wreath, and it was super easy to make for less than $4. In the second project, I created a winter framed art using a foam board, a canvas, and a pack of wooden snowflakes from the Dollar Tree. I've had this empty canvas frame from a previous project where I cut and used the canvas itself. But Dollar Store always sells canvases in different sizes that you can pick up for this project. So I placed the frame on the white foam board and traced around it with a pencil. I then cut out the outline with my box cutter. I lightly sanded the frame as I noticed there were some rough edges, but you can skip this step if yours is in good shape. I then hot glued the white foam piece to the back of the frame and held it in place for a few seconds to make sure it's secure. Next, I took the snowflakes out of the packaging and used 2 different color acrylic paints to paint them all. I chose dark blue and silver as my winter color palette, but make sure to personalize it to your style and taste. I painted half of the snowflakes dark blue and the other half silver and let them dry for about 15 minutes before proceeding to the next step. Once the paint was dry, I simply placed the snowflakes in the frame at random and used tiny bits of hot glue to secure each piece on the foam backing. That completed the second Dollar Tree winter decor project, and I think this framed art turned out really cute. It cost $3 to make, and I love the blue and silver combined with the organic wood frame. For the third project, I created star pattern coasters using 2 wooden ornament shapes from the Dollar Tree. I picked up 4 of these wooden ornaments from the dollar store, but I decided to use 2 for this project. I'm actually planning to make Christmas coasters with the other 2 in a later video. Anyways, I started lightly sanding the 2 wooden ornaments with 150 and then 220 grit sandpaper. There were definitely some rough edges on these, and I did not want anyone to get splinters while using these coasters. After sanding, I wiped the sawdust to prep the wooden shapes for some paint. I used some good old white acrylic paint to cover both of the wooden ornaments. You can also stain these pieces if you want to, but I wanted to have a cohesive color palette throughout all the projects in this video, and that's why I went with white. I did 2 coats of the paint and let it fully dry for about 20 minutes. Then I painted the edges of the wooden ornaments with silver acrylic paint. While that was drying, I used 2 star-shaped cookie cutters to trace out different patterns on the ornaments. I then filled in the outline stars with dark blue acrylic paint. I used a small brush to make sure I can get the edges as nice and neat as possible. Also, the dark blue and silver were the same ones that I used in the last project. I let everything fully dry after that. To add some detail to these coasters, I used some of the silver color and added small dots along the edges of the stars, and I think it definitely elevated the overall look of these pieces. I sprayed both coasters with acrylic sealer, and that's it for the third Dollar Tree winter DIY decor. I really like how these $1 coasters came out, and I'm excited to use them throughout the season. I think this last project took only a few minutes to create, and it's something that you probably see everywhere in home decor stores, but might not think to make for yourself. I used a plastic snow globe and some faux snow from the Dollar Tree for this project. I opened the snow globe and removed the paper packaging from the inside. Now I made a total mess with the faux snow as I poured it in the globe, but this can be easily prevented if you just pay attention to where you're pouring the faux snow. But basically, I used a small plastic tree that I got from IKEA last week and hot glued it to the bottom lid of the snow globe. I then poured some of the faux snow back in the globe along with some small pine cones that I've had sitting around from the fall decor projects. I placed the lid with the tree back on and shook the snow globe to get everything settled in place. To add the finishing touch, I used some macrame cord and wrapped it around the bottom of the snow globe to hide the cheap looking white plastic lid and also to add some natural color and texture to the piece. I secured the macrame in place with a small amount of hot glue and cut the excess off in the end. And that's all there is to this last Dollar Tree winter DIY decor project. This snow globe was so quick and easy to create, and you can use anything instead of the tree to customize it and really make it your own. I hope that you enjoyed these winter decor DIYs and decide to recreate some of them for yourself. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you in my next video.